Penny Willis always said she could judge a person's soul by the way they treated a flame. Some guests fussed and slapped at candle wicks, others cupped them tenderly from the breeze. Jonah Crow, Lantern Lake's legendary ghost tour guide, had a habit Penny liked. Whenever she handed him a taper, he'd tilt his head, smile at the flicker, and murmur, "Behave yourself, little light." Every October, he bought a crate of her hand-dipped lantern tapers, crushed lavender for calm, myrrh for drama, and a thread of phosphorescent lake algae to give the wick an unearthly blue rim. So, when Jonah collapsed in front of 30 tourists during Friday night's Spirit Circle séance, Penny felt a flash of personal betrayal. Her candles were on that table, dancing merrily while their owner lay gasping. The Spirit Circle was supposed to be an act. A few thumps under the table courtesy of wired fishing line, gloomy moans from a hidden Bluetooth speaker, a gust of cold air when Jonah cracked open the boathouse doors to Lantern Lake. Penny knew the routine. She'd helped him test it last week, laughing at how easily humans scare themselves. But tonight, something had broken script. The antique table jerked on its own before anyone tugged a line. The temperature nosedived so fast that Penny's breath frosted in front of her lips, and the blue-rimmed candles popped, launching sparks like nerves at the moment of a synapse. Then Jonah's head snapped back. His eyes rolled up at the rafters, as though he saw something perched there, and his body folded to the wood planks. Tourists screamed, chairs toppled, and someone killed the generator. Darkness swallowed the boathouse except for Penny's candles, still burning, no longer blue, but a raw, frantic orange. Deputy Clara Singh arrived 7 minutes later, by which time Jonah had been carried to the wharf, unconscious but breathing, and everyone was stumbling out into the drizzle. The official story forming on 30 trembling tongues was carbon monoxide from a faulty heater, or maybe a stroke. Yet Penny couldn't shake the memory of the table lifting and the sudden chilling hush that followed. At 1 a.m. she locked the door to Willow and Wax, her candle shop, but sleep stayed stubbornly distant. So she brewed nettle tea, raised the blind, and watched Lantern Lake Village slumber. Past the moonlit steeple and rows of peaked roofs lay the boathouse, once home to lantern makers who crafted floating lights for summer festivals, now the haunted crown jewel of Jonah's tours. A single candle smouldered on Penny's work table, one she hadn't dipped, but had found under the séance table after the tourists fled. Unlike her lavender-myrrh hybrids, this taper smelled faintly of nightshade. Something dark laced its wax. She pinched the wick, extinguishing it, and rubbed black soot between her fingers. Who had planted a strange candle with hers, and had it conjured more than illusion? The next morning, news spread. Jonah Crow was in a medically induced coma at Lantern Lake Hospital. No sign of stroke, no heart condition. Toxicology pending. Mabel Hartman, the village historian, burst into Willow and Wax before Penny unlocked the front door. "It's the weeping lady," she proclaimed, shaking water from her shawl. The tour awakened her. You know the legend. She drowned in 1890, cursed anyone who mocked the dead, and that séance was pure mockery. "Mabel," Penny said gently, "ghosts don't swap candles." She showed the historian the nightshade-scented taper. "Someone smuggled this in. Maybe it's coated with something that made Jonah pass out." Mabel sniffed, went pale. "Belladonna, my grandmother used to grow it. A whiff can slow the heart." Her voice lowered. "The weeping lady's other name is Belladonna." Penny couldn't suppress a groan. That's coincidence, not evidence. But her skeptic's armor felt suddenly thin. She grabbed her raincoat. "I'm going to the boathouse." Deputy Singh met her halfway down Lantern Wharf, caution tape snapping in the wind. "No visitors, Penny." "I found tampered candles. If something toxic was used, you need to secure it before high tide washes everything into the lake." The deputy hesitated. They'd grown up together. Clara trusted Penny's nose for chemicals. 10 minutes, she conceded, lifting the tape. Inside, the boathouse smelled of wet rope and soot. Penny scanned the scene. Overturned chairs, Jonah's trademark velvet tablecloth snagged on a nail, her crate of candles, -6 tapers. She crouched by the plank floor where he'd fallen and brushed her fingers over crystalline dust. Salt. Jonah used it symbolically, sprinkling a circle to keep spirits in. But he'd bragged about faking it with coarse sugar because salt dulled the finish of his antique floor. This was genuine sea salt, its grains jagged, clumped with moisture. A breeze whispered across Penny's neck, though the doors were shut. She turned. The room had darkened, shadows rearranging themselves behind beams. The candles in the crate flickered, at least Penny thought they did, until she realized none were lit. The flame she saw hovered 2 inches above an unlit wick, a thin thread of blue fire spiraling in air like a charmed snake. Her brain offered thunderous disbelief, but her body moved. She thrust out her palm, and the phantom flame drifted to her skin. Cold as fog, yet bright, it bobbed, then winked out, leaving the scent of lavender and lake algae mingled. Penny backed away until her spine struck the wall. "All right," she whispered. "I believe in you. What do you want?" Something creaked upstairs in the loft. Footsteps. Penny's mouth went dry. She mounted the ladder 1 rung at a time, candle stub as her only weapon. The loft was cluttered with tour props, fake manacles, speaker wires, an ancient diving helmet. On the floor lay a torn envelope addressed to Jonah Crow, counselor typewriter ribbon faded. Its postmark read 23 years ago. Inside, a single sheet bore cramped handwriting. "Break circle, free me, debt repaid, beware the nightshade." Penny photographed the note with her phone, then descended, mind racing. 23 years ago, Jonah would have been 15, about the time he first bragged of seeing Lantern Lake's ghosts. Break circle, free me. The circle last night had broken when the table jumped. Had Jonah done it, or had someone acting on this note? And who warned about Nightshade? Back at Willow and Wax, Penny brewed coffee so strong it could prop a corpse upright. The door chimed. Derek Finch, slick hair plastered by rain, stepped inside. Derek ran Phantom Trails, a rival ghost tour. Competition between him and Jonah was almost theatrical, shouting matches at the docks, dueling TripAdvisor ads. "Cops may ask about my beef with Jonah," Derek said without preamble. "I was leading a group at Devil's Bluff when he collapsed. 20 witnesses. He placed a dented tin on her counter. I found this under my supply bench this morning. Recognize your brand." Penny lifted the lid. 6 of her lavender myrrh tapers lay inside, but their wicks were blackened, used. She checked the batch stamp. Friday's séance order. "Why were these backstage at your tour?" Derek scowled. "Someone's setting me up. Look." He pointed to faint purple residue inside the tin. Penny sniffed. "Belladonna." Derek swallowed hard. "Jonah reported me 2 months ago for licensing violations. Deputy Singh fined me. If they find poisoned candles labelled Finch, I'm done." He met Penny's eyes. "Help me clear this, and I'll tell you something. Jonah wasn't faking all the spooks last night. He's been different. Said he felt a real presence following him since the new moon." After Derek left, Penny opened her grandmother's worn herb compendium. Belladonna fumes in high concentration could cause hallucinations, slowed heartbeat, collapse. She remembered Jonah inhaling deeply over every candle display. If someone doctored a batch, he'd have gotten a lungful even before the séance began. She rang the hospital. Nurse Alvarez wouldn't share labs, but let slip that Jonah's pupils were widely dilated, like he'd dropped an ocular poison. Penny's candle studio became a mind map of sticky notes. Suspects: Derek Finch, motive, rivalry. Mabel Hartman, motive, protect legend. Ivy Lamb, Jonah's teenage assistant, motive, unknown. Ada Rowe, reclusive herbalist by the marsh, supplier of rare botanicals, motive, who knows. Spirits, the weeping lady, or whoever danced that flame. To sift fact from fable, Penny needed to speak to Ivy Lamb, last person who prepped Jonah's gig that night. She found Ivy at the lakeside gazebo, arranging wilted roses into a heart shape. The girl's cheeks were striped with tears. "It was supposed to be a joke," Ivy confessed. "Jonah told me ghosts aren't real, said the weeping lady was a stunt to sell tickets. I thought, if I gave people a real scare, he'd respect the legends." Penny crouched. "Did you tamper with candles?" Ivy shook her head vehemently. "I swapped the sugar in his satchel for sea salt, that's all. Real salt strengthens a circle, right? I wanted to lock spirits in, not hurt him." "Why the roses?" "For her," Ivy whispered, eyes flicking to the lake. "She cries for her lost baby. White roses to calm her, red to remind her of blood." Penny's arms prickled. "Ivy, who told you that?" The girl lifted her phone, showing Penny a string of text messages from an unknown number labeled simply Bella, instructions about salt, roses, and making Jonah honor the dead. The final message, time-stamped minutes before the séance: "Break the circle before the last candle dies." Penny copied the number. No area code, local. She called, straight to voicemail, a hushed female sigh. Deputy Singh agreed to trace it, but warned that digital subpoenas crawled at the speed of bureaucracy. "Still," Clara added, "my gut says physical crime before paranormal. Poisoned candle wicks could have dispensed belladonna smoke." "Except someone else lit a flame without a wick," Penny muttered. "Come again." Nothing. Penny pocketed her phone. What about Jonah's personal history? Anyone from 23 years ago who'd send a note? The deputy gave a half shrug. "His file's thin. Parents died when he was 16, boating accident. Fostered with the Rows out by the marsh." Ada Rowe again. Penny braved the marsh road at sunset, wind lashing waves against half-submerged cypress trunks. Ada's cottage leaned under centuries-old moss, windows glowing amber. The door was ajar. Penny knocked. No reply. Inside, candles of every size crowded shelves, their flames steady despite drafts. Penny tasted metal in the air, belladonna again, mingled with hemlock and basilisk root. At the kitchen table sat Ada Rowe, eyes closed, lips moving silently over a withered rose stem. She looked neither old nor young, her face a topography of long sorrows. Penny cleared her throat. "Ms. Rowe?" Ada opened her eyes, unsurprised. "The candlemaker." She touched the rose to her tongue. "I taught Jonah craft of story. He misused it." "Did you drug him?" Ada's laugh was papery. "Why harm a boy I sheltered? I swore to his mother." She gestured to a dusty oil painting on the wall, a woman in rowing gear, face half turned to the lake, a sleeping infant tucked in her shawl. "Caroline Crowe. People claimed she drowned herself, but Storm Lady took her." Storm Lady. Another local myth, sister to the weeping lady. Penny steadied her breathing. Jonah's tour made the legends popular. Popular, yes, but empty. Ada's gaze sharpened. He broke his promise. Caroline's spirit wants release, not encore performances. She produced a cell phone older than dirt. The number matched Bella. I am Belladonna, child. I make remedies from deadly plants. I guided Jonah to the circle, hoped the lake might swallow his bravado, purge the mockery. Guided? You texted Ivy, salted the floor, and told her to break the circle. Ada closed her phone. Jonah knew how to respect ghosts once, but greed. He refused to hear Caroline's plea. Let her story die. So last night I opened the path. Penny's skin crawled. Whatever you summoned nearly killed him. He lives. The lake spared him. Ada leaned forward. Because another spirit intervened. Yours. Mine? Penny laughed too loud. I'm very much alive. Ada smiled sadly. Not talking of death. Candles hold memories. When you dip wax, you breathe intention into flame. Your light is a shield, Penelope Willis. You turned a vengeful haunting into a fainting spell. Penny stared at her hands, wondering if subconscious prayer had birthed that blue flame. If the weeping lady, or Caroline, wants silence, we can rebrand the tour. But we can't let people fear the marsh forever, nor can we allow poisonings. She fixed her gaze on Ada. Tell the deputy what you did. Ada shook her head. I violated no statute. Nightshade grows wild. I distilled scent, no lethal dose. Jonah's weakness is theatrical fainting goat syndrome. She shrugged, almost mischievous. And the phone? Try proving who typed. Penny wanted to scream, but her heart caught something else. Pity. Ada was protecting a promise to a dead woman, a foster son, and a village veneer. Outside, twilight bled into true night. Penny dialed Clara. Ada Rowe is Bella, she said, but she believes she saved Jonah, not hurt him. And I think she's right about one thing. The haunting started with his parents. Deputy Singh sighed. Toxicology says negligible belladonna, nothing fatal. Jonah's blood shows catecholamine crash, panic attack magnified by fumes. He'll wake up soon. Let me talk to him first, Penny said. Monday dawned with saffron skies. Penny arrived at the hospital carrying 2 small votive candles, one lavender, one unscented beeswax for honesty. Jonah lay pale but awake, fingers twitching as if still moving planchette across a Ouija board. He smiled weakly. My star, Chandler. She set the candles on his tray, unlit. No theatrics. What happened after the table jumped? Jonah's throat bobbed. I saw my mother, clear as you. She asked me to let go. I thought, belladonna hallucination. Then I felt my heart seize. Your mother's foster sister engineered that, Penny said. Ada salted your circle through Ivy. She believes you broke a promise to stop exploiting the lake's tragedies. His eyes filled. I swore when I was 20, 1 season then college. But grief sells. Tour money paid Ada's debts, then became my identity. Penny leaned closer. Legends matter, Jonah, but they're not yours to profit from. You gave fear, not reverence. Spirits or no, the lake deserves quiet. She struck a match. The lavender candle flared blue, not the phosphorescent rim, but full cobalt, the colour of her phantom flame. It cast ripples across white hospital sheets, no heat, only hush. Jonah stared, tears tracking. She's here. Maybe, Penny whispered, maybe it's us. Either way, you have a choice. Retire the tour or keep running until something darker than Nightshade stops you. 3 weeks later, Lantern Lake cancelled its Halloween thrill season. Instead, Jonah and Mabel hosted a lantern vigil. townsfolk floated Penny's beeswax candles across the water, each inscribed with the name of someone mourned. Ada Rowe watched from the marsh edge, ivy beside her, roses in hand. Penny lit the final candle. A blue halo crowned the flame, steady as truth. She set it on the current and felt the lake exhale, a long, shuddering breath that blew sweet lavender across the night. Some tourists still whispered of the weeping lady. Others insisted the vigil was just rebranding. Penny no longer cared which. She'd felt a table rise on invisible shoulders, felt cold light curl around her palms. That was enough. Back in Willow and Wax, she penned a new label for her autumn line. Vigil Lights, hand-dipped to honor the stories we keep and the ones we set free. Because in Lantern Lake Village, candles knew the difference, and if you listened to their tiny tongues of fire, you could too.